Today we will dive into clean coding with strategic pattern. And of course, I am not alone. With me is a backend developer with over 6 years coding experience on Microsoft.NET. Welcome, Chooks.
Thank you very much.
Is it Chooks or Chukuma? Which would you prefer, actually?
You can call me Chooks, can call me Chukuma, anyone is fine.
Okay, I think I'll stick to Chooks.
Yeah, that's cool.
All right, how have you been?
Well, I've been good. Same old, keeping up with the grind.
How's tech life been, though?
Yeah, tech life is there. You write some code, you solve some
Yeah,
bugs.
write some code, solve some bugs.
Yeah.
The way it sounds alone, I mean, it sounds as if there's one serious issue with that bug side of things.
It could be a pain sometimes, and then other times it's better. So
Hmm. Okay, I heard you sing.
I do sometimes.
On that note, I have to ask you something. I
Ah,
mean,
uh,
I really need to ask you, who are your top three artists, both local and international?
I listen to mostly local music. So I would say Johnny Drill,
Hmm.
Asha, and then Fireboy.
Hmm. Is that why you did your hair like Johnny Drill?
No, it's just a coincidence.
All right, so let's dive right into what we're here for
Yeah.
today. Okay, so first question, can you explain what strategic pattern is and how it contributes to clean coding practices?
Yeah, so basically, like you said in the introduction, clean coding is how you write code that is clean, efficient, scalable, and following all the principles of coding, like making it loosely coupled,
Mm-hmm.
dry principle, which is don't repeat yourself,
Yeah.
Yangi, which is you aren't gonna need it, don't use it.
Mm.
Keeping on, yeah, right, using all those principles to write some code that makes it really elegant.
Yeah, I think I like the part of not repeating what
Yeah.
you write because a lot of times it means you can actually reuse.
Reuse your code. Yes,
And
yes.
that actually brings me to the next question
hmm
because I've been curious, how do you now use strategic pattern to facilitate code reuse and maintainability?
Yeah, that's a good question. So, strategy pattern just basically refers to a behavioral design pattern.
Okay.
Behavioral in the sense that you determine the behavior of the code at
Yeah.
runtime. So, at runtime, the code gets some certain instructions
Yeah.
that it can now use to select the algorithm it needs to implement.
Yeah.
So, for example, you have a payment provider. You
Okay.
want to make payment.
Okay.
Um, the making of payment is a contract that should be implemented by anybody that wants to make a payment.
Oh, okay.
So it could be maybe Stripe, it could
Mm-hmm.
be PayPal, it could be
Mm-hmm.
Google Pay. All
Mm-hmm.
of them are going to implement make payments, but the way they
Including,
implement it
yeah.
is different,
Okay.
right?
Yeah.
So at runtime, strategy pattern makes it possible that the code is able to select what implementation it should use
Yeah.
at runtime. So
Hmm.
which makes it loosely coupled, and
Hmm.
you can easily write another one and just
And then
slot
you
it in.
just immediately, so if
Yeah.
I use let's say, because you mentioned payments, if I use, let's say, Flutterwave for an example,
Yes.
can just reuse the same. you
Exactly.
just- Wow, like
Just implement the
that's
contract and it works.
that's crazy. So in your experience,
hmm
right, like what are some common scenarios? I mean, you've talked about the payment method side, but what are other common scenarios that you could also, you know, bring up whereby you actually employed this particular strategic pattern and it was actually beneficial for you?
Okay. Another scenario is, let's say, KYC.
KYC,
So
okay.
you have a piece of code that is to verify your KYC information.
Mm-hmm.
But you could have different types of KYC. Let's say BVN, you could
Okay.
have NIN,
Okay.
you could have passport number.
Passport number.
Yeah, those are different KYC IDs that you want to verify.
Yeah.
And then you have a contract that says verify KYC.
Very.
So rather
Okay.
than writing your code in a clunky way where you use different if statements, okay, if it is NIN, use this, if it's this, use this.
Yeah.
Strategy pattern just makes it possible
Yeah.
that when it receives the information, it checks, okay, what kind of KYC are you trying to verify?
Yeah.
And then it selects the particular implementation for that one.
Yeah.
So it just makes it very loosely coupled
Yeah.
and more scalable.
Wow, a lot of knowledge. I will tell you that's deep, a whole lot of knowledge. And
Yeah.
this brings me to the next question because this is now practical. I'm
hmm
actually curious to see this part. Could you mind showing us a real life scenario whereby you actually implemented this, strategic pattern.
Yeah.
Because I want our viewers to actually see these things.
Okay.
And yeah.
So I just have a little, like, let's say, proof of concept
Okay.
to just show
Okay.
how
Hey,
the
proof of
strategy
concept. I
pattern
mean, it's just, I'm
works.
curious. Okay.
Yeah. So we have some piece of code here.
Okay.
The aim of this is to verify some ID. I know I
Okay.
used that example earlier
Yeah.
on,
Yeah.
and then I'm using clean architecture, clean coding, and that's why it has different layers. It has the application layer, it has the domain. Start
Okay.
from here. Domain is the core of the project.
Okay.
It has a domain layer which has no dependencies
Okay.
and just has contracts, models, and enumerations.
Oh.
Then it's
What
also, yeah.
what does what does domain layer intake exactly? What goes into that?
So the domain layer is the core of the project.
Okay.
So let's say you're building a hospital management system now. So all the entities, all the models like the hospital,
Mm.
the patient,
Mm-hmm.
log,
Mm-hmm.
everything is in the domain
In the
layer.
domain layer.
Yeah, it doesn't have any external dependencies. It doesn't depend on anything externally. It
Okay.
also has all the interface contracts that
Okay.
define the methods that will be used throughout the application.
Oh wow. Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. Okay, so what is inside your own domain layer right now?
Yeah, so inside my own domain layer, I have the verification requests
Okay.
here,
Okay.
which takes in a document number and a
Okay.
document type.
Okay.
I also have the verification response.
Okay.
That's the response you get from verifying.
Yeah.
Then I have error in case there's an error. So I have a defined error, an error class here.
Okay.
Then I have my interfaces, which are the contracts.
Okay. So
So, yeah.
sorry to cut you short. How does this strategic pattern now works for this exactly?
Yeah, so I'm getting there.
Okay, that's right. Well, do
Yeah.
your thing, do your thing.
So I'm
Yeah,
getting there.
yeah.
So here we have the adapter strategy.
Okay.
Now this adapter strategy gets the verification adapter. The verification adapter basically it sounds like a big word, but all it is what does that verification. So let's say NIN verification to have an NIN adapter.
Yeah,
So think of it as a plugin.
yeah.
That's something that can be plugged into, let's say a big socket, right?
Mm,
So you have an
mm,
NIN adapter that can be plugged in. You
mm-hmm,
have like a BVN adapter that can be plugged in. You have passport number adapter that can be plugged in.
mm.
And each of these ones have their own implementation on how they verify.
Oh, wow.
But what is common to all of them is
Yeah.
that they do verification.
So the verification is a must.
Yes, it's a must. So that is
Okay.
common to all of them.
Yeah.
The only thing different is how they now implement their own verification, and that's the beauty of strategy pattern because you have already concluded
Yeah.
that verification must happen.
Yeah.
So there is a verification um, service that says handle verification
Mm.
here.
Oh, that I can see that
Yeah.
now. Yeah. Handle verification. Oh, nice.
And then there's also a verification adapter that says verify document number.
Mm-hmm.
So in this verification adapter that says verify document number, we have different adapters that inherit from this and implement it in their own way. So
Okay.
if we go to the adapters now, we see BVN adapter. Sorry, it implements I verification adapter,
Mm-hmm.
and it implements its own verified document number in its own way.
Yeah.
Now, there is no concrete code that does. This is just an
Yeah.
example.
Yeah. Yeah.
So it
True.
says a message from BVN adapter, and
Mm-hmm.
then it
Mm-hmm.
handles the request. We have the NIN adapter, which also inherits from I verification
Okay.
adapter
Okay.
and implements it in its own way.
Yeah.
And then we have the passport number adapter that implements it in its own way. So
Okay.
all of them implement the same contracts,
Yeah.
but they do it in their own different
Yeah, in
ways.
different ways. Yeah.
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 So without strategy pattern, what would
Mm-hmm.
have happened is that I will have to use some if else statement and say, okay, if it is this,
Oh, yeah,
do
yeah,
this, if
yeah.
it's this, do this, if it's this, do this.
So
And
rather than go that route, you just
yes. And what will happen in that case is that if there is a new verification, like let's say voters card or voters identification number,
true.
you would have to go back to the code and now add if it is this. And that just breaks the open close principle, which is open to extension. and
True.
closed to modification.
Wow.
So it really makes your code more scalable
Yeah,
in
I
that
can
way.
see that now.
Yes.
Wow. Yeah, that's wow, like I said, a lot of knowledge. Wow, and this is a game changer, basically. And this is just one thing you can use strategic pattern for, right?
Yeah, so the applications how you can apply it is just up to you,
True,
right?
true,
It's just up to you.
true.
I think one thing that we should note
Yeah,
is that it depends on the complexity of
yeah,
your project.
okay.
Right.
Yeah,
So there are some scenarios where maybe it's just a small project, you know, that is not going to grow more than this.
yeah,
You might not really necessarily need to do this because
yeah,
this can introduce some more engineering complexity to the
yeah,
project.
yeah,
But if you're looking at scalability, you're looking at something that could change, could grow in
yeah,
the future, then
true.
this is the way to go.
Oh wow, wow. I really I think I agree with you there because I
Yeah.
mean I'm seeing the usefulness of this
Mm-hmm.
and it's actually a game changer for, if you ask me. Um so one of the things I was wondering I really want to ask you is what are the key challenges I mean a developer would face if is trying to apply this strategic pattern into their codes?
I think it's more of around complexity of engineering. So
Okay.
it introduces more complexity to
Okay.
the code. And
Okay.
then if a new developer takes this, you have to understand, the way the code is written. You have to understand how to implement it. You have to just understand a lot of things.
Yeah.
So it just introduces some extra complexity.
Yeah.
And then because of the way strategy pattern
Yeah.
works,
Yeah.
you have to create different new classes
Yeah.
at runtime
Yeah.
that it chooses which one to implement.
Yeah.
And then, if you're looking at optimization,
Yeah.
it could have more memory usage
Yeah.
than normal.
Yeah.
But apart from that, there's really not much disadvantage to using it.
Oh, wow. Wow. Well, thank you. Thank you so much for that knowledge. That's been insightful. Perfect. Super. In fact,
It's
I
my
mean,
pleasure.
super. Well, we just explored the depth of clean coding with strategic pattern. And yeah, before we go, right? We would love to find out, do you have any form of social media platforms where, our viewers can reach out to you just in case they have any questions they want to ask,
Yeah.
or, in case you have other projects that you are also, you want people to,
hmm
pay attention for.
Yeah. So I have a LinkedIn.
Okay.
So my name on LinkedIn is still Mabi Chukuma.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. And
Mabi Chukuma, yeah.
yes, and I'm available on LinkedIn to be reached.
Oh, okay. All right. Thank you so much for being in the show
Yeah,
again
it's my
with us.
pleasure.
Um, yeah. So to our viewers out there, do follow us on all our social media platforms. Keep in touch with us. And if you have any issues at all that you're going through and you really want us to help you resolve, do let us know in the comment section. Till next time. Bye.